Okay, so the first thing I do when I'm getting ready to go to a show is I go to the website for that show. I like to get sketches in my sketchbook, so that's usually where I start. So once you take a look at Artist Alley, you can decide, you see an artist that you know, you like, that you're familiar with, you can go ahead and decide if you're going to get a sketch from them or not. Now I go and I check every single artist on the list. I just copy the name, I do a little Google search. If I'm not familiar with the artist, sometimes they'll have their own website, sometimes they'll have a DeviantArt. The DeviantArt site for an artist is very, very useful. You can get an idea of what their art looks like if you're not familiar with them by name, and that helps you decide if you want to get a sketch from them or not. So you can just click on Gallery and on their DeviantArt page. That gives you a chance to see their art and what it looks like. So once I've made up my mind, I've checked out the artist's art, I've made up my mind that yes, this is an artist I'm interested in, then I'll reach out to that artist directly. So you can either reach out to them if they have their own website, they usually have contact information, or you can send them a message on DeviantArt, Twitter, Facebook. So like I said, I go artist by artist, I check every single one, and then if I decide that I'm interested in that artist, I'll put their name, their attending, what their booth number is, how I contacted them, if they replied or not, and then if they're doing sketches, what their prices are. So once I go through and I check all the Artist Alley, I'll go through and I'll skim through the exhibitors, because a lot of times what'll happen is an artist might not necessarily have a table in Artist Alley, but they may have a table somewhere else through their studio. Also under exhibitors, you'll have an idea of what publishers will be there. So Aspen Comics, Avatar Press, DC Entertainment. So it gives you an idea of which publishers are going to be there. If there's a certain publisher that you like, you can check and see if they're going to be there. The next thing you can check is oftentimes they'll have a guest list, so special guests. Again, these people may or may not have a table on their own, but if they're on this guest list as a special guest, that means the show's invited them. Oftentimes the show will pay for their travel or pay for their hotels, so they're most likely, if they're on the special guest list, 9 times out of 10 they will be there. So that gives you an idea. Some more creators that might be there that you're interested in meeting. And again, even if they're a special guest and they don't have a table, there's no reason not to reach out to them and tell them, hey, I'm going to go to this show, I'm just interested in meeting you. There's Twitter, Facebook. So just gives you an idea, like if an artist might be sketching, you can find out what their rates are, things like that. The more information you have, the better. It's only going to benefit you in the long run. Hope you have a more organized show. The last thing that I usually go through and look at is the programs. Sometimes you can check the other 3 places, the Artist Alley, the exhibitor list, and the special guests, and you won't see a person's name, but you'll know that they're most likely going to be there if they're on a panel. So you can kind of just skim through the panels for a particular day, and you'll notice that the people that are going to be on the panel are usually listed. So you just skim through. Oftentimes you can find panels that are really fun and interesting. If you go to a show, a big show like San Diego, I think going to panels is a really good way to kind of get away from the show floor, at least for a few minutes, and give yourself a break from the chaos. Here's a real good example. So you could check Artist Alley, you could check the guest list, you could check the exhibitors. You would never see Joe Quesada's name on in any of those places, but you know he's going to be there because he's doing this panel. Marvel Cup of Joe, it's Friday, oh I'm sorry, it's Saturday, July 26, 2:45. So again, usually right before a panel or right after a panel, sometimes you can grab some autographs. So those are the 4 places that I would check out. A smaller show, they may not necessarily have panels, but their website definitely will give you a lot of information. So here's the spreadsheet that I created for the show San Diego this last year. I put down everybody that I found searching those 4 places that I was interested in meeting or getting a sketch from. I even put down some creators that I couldn't find on the list because I thought, well, maybe they'll be there and I'm just not finding them, so let me go ahead and reach out to them. And these happen to be all DC creators, so I put the DC booth down as their booth location. So I do this on a Google Drive spreadsheet for the reason that even though I'm going to print out a hard copy so that I have it and I'm not fumbling with my laptop or my phone, I used Google Drive because if I do happen to lose the paper, I have a Google Drive app on my phone, so I could, if I had to, pull it up on my phone. So again, you don't necessarily have to go through as much preparation or detail as I do, but when you're collecting sketches, it's a great idea. It gives you, especially if you can get prices ahead of time, how you want to budget your money. So okay, I want to get this person, he's 40. I want to get this person, he's 40. I want to get this person, he's 40. That's my whole $120 budget. So it gives you a real good idea. There may be somebody that you really, really want, and you take a look at their sketches and their prices, and you decide, well, you know, if I get a sketch from this guy, it's pretty much going to be the only sketch I can afford at the show. So maybe you would rather get 3 smaller sketches from people that are a little bit less expensive than get that one big sketch. Another good thing to do is to make a checklist. I usually make my checklist about a week ahead of time, so that gives me a chance to remember anything that I may have forgotten, and then I just kind of X out when I have it ready to go, packed up in the car. You notice my sketch, or my checklist doesn't have any actual comics on there because I wasn't really looking to buy any comics at San Diego. However, if you're going to a show and what you like to do is dig through back issues and fill holes in your collection, then you definitely want to head over to a price guide. There's several really good price guides online. Personally, I use Comics Price Guide because I like how they give you a ballpark figure for what grade the book is in. So you want to be sure and have your list updated with books that you need, books you might be looking for, and it's a good idea to write down the price that you're willing to pay. Just because the price guide has a certain price for a book doesn't mean that's what you're willing to pay for it. Price guides are exactly that. They're just a guide. So it's a good idea, especially if you're looking for key older issues, like maybe you're looking for an Iron Man #3. This price guide has a 9.4 listed for $200. Maybe you're only willing to pay half that or 2/3 of that. Big shows are definitely a great place to haggle and try to get books for a little bit lesser value. So you should decide ahead of time what condition how low you're willing to go on condition and how high you're willing to go on price. Another good thing to do before a big show is to go to a publisher's website, and you can get an idea of what what artists and writers, creators will be signing at that booth. Getting a signing schedule for a show is a really good idea. It just, again, it allows you to plan ahead of time. Hey, I'm really interested in getting my East of West book signed by Nick Dragotta, so I want to be sure that Thursday, sometime between 12 and 12:45, I hit up the Image booth so that I can get them signed. And also look at, they had this information that you had to have a ticket for these particular signings. So again, you'd want to head to that booth. If you're there at San Diego and your goal is to get a Robert Kirkman autograph, the first thing you should do is head to the Image booth as soon as you get in the door and say, hey, I want to get a ticket for the Robert Kirkman signing. What do I need to do? Same thing here. I headed over to the DC website. They have their panels and their sign-in schedule. So once again, it's just having information so that you can plan ahead, and it just makes things easier. At the end of the day, we all go, or most of us go to comic conventions to have fun, so don't make a job out of it. Don't do so much planning that you don't remember to have fun. But if there's a certain person that you want to meet at the show and you miss out because you didn't plan ahead of time, maybe they're only going to be there for one of the 2 days of the show or 2 of the 4 days of the show, that's information you'd like to know. Another great idea to do is if you're going to a show just to meet one specific person or 2 specific people, check and see if they have a Twitter. Follow them on Twitter. They can be tweeting times, oh, I'm at such and such a booth signing, or I'm over here at this table in Artist Alley, come and say hi, so that you're for sure that you get a chance to meet that creator. So I'm a big believer that you can never be too prepared for a show. Make sure you wear comfortable shoes, make sure all your electronic devices are fully charged. A good bag with a padded shoulder strap is definitely a good idea. It's also a good idea to take cash rather than using a card if possible, just because there are some creators that won't take anything but cash, and oftentimes at convention centers and places like that, they will have ATMs, but it's a pretty hefty fee sometimes to withdraw money. And then there are creators that will have a little electronic device attached to their phone where they can scan a credit card or an ATM. But when you get to these really huge shows and there's a lot of people all trying to use their cell phones to connect to the internet at once, it's not always easy to do. So keep all those things in mind. Feel free to ask me any questions. You can send me an email. The email address is thecomicsourceblog@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about conventions, things I do to prepare, advice, pretty much anything. Just drop me a line and I'd be happy to help.
Hey guys, I just wanted to throw this in here at the end of this episode. There's a woman who's basically the heart and soul of Artist Alley in San Diego, and it could be argued that Artist Alley is the heart and soul of what started the San Diego Comic-Con convention. Without those artists and creators, there would be no industry, and without this woman, there probably wouldn't be an Artist Alley at San Diego. Her name is CLYDENE, and she needs your help. Mark Brooks has started a GoFundMe, and he explains her situation a lot more eloquently than I could. I'm also going to put a couple links down here where you can read about all the great things that CLYDENE has done for the artists over the years in Artist Alley. And just take a minute, even if you don't make a donation, just go and read about her situation, and you can think positive thoughts and say some prayers for her. She certainly is hardworking and very deserving. Thanks.